On October 2, 2024, Michael Jordan's NASCAR team, the foray Racing, alongside Front Row Motorsports, made headlines by filing an antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR in a federal court in North Carolina. The lawsuit challenges NASCAR's charter system, a framework tied to a 7-year media rights deal that runs through 2031. This legal battle isn't just about contracts or revenue, it's a clash over fairness, competition, and the future of one of America's most beloved sports. To fully understand the stakes, we need to dive into Michael Jordan's journey into NASCAR and the events that set the stage for this dramatic showdown. Michael Jordan, the basketball legend with 6 NBA championships and 5 MVP awards, stepped into the world of NASCAR team ownership on September 21, 2020, teaming up with Denny Hamlin, a 3-time Daytona 500 winner. Jordan co-founded the foray Racing. The team quickly made waves by acquiring Germain Racing's charter and securing Bubba Wallace as their primary driver for the 2021 season. Wallace, the only black driver in the NASCAR Cup Series at the time, brought a unique spotlight to the team, both for his talent and his role as a trailblazer in the sport. But this wasn't Jordan's first rodeo in motorsports. From 2004 to 2013, he owned Michael Jordan Motorsports, a team that competed in the AMA Pro Road Racing Championship. During that time, the team even clinched 2 American Superbike victories at Daytona Bike Week in 2010. Jordan's passion for racing runs deep, rooted in his childhood in North Carolina. He once shared, "Growing up in North Carolina, my parents would take my brothers, sisters, and me to races. I've been a NASCAR fan my whole life." For Jordan, owning a NASCAR team wasn't just a business move, it was a dream come true. The lawsuit centers on NASCAR's charter system, introduced in 2016. This system guarantees teams entry into every Cup Series race and a fixed share of the prize money. There are 36 charters in the Cup Series, owned by 15 teams. For years, NASCAR and the teams negotiated new terms for the charter agreement, which was set to take effect in 2025. However, the foray Racing and Front Row Motorsports were the only 2 teams that refused to sign the deal by NASCAR's September 6, 2024 deadline. In response, NASCAR pulled their charter extension offers for the 2025 season, effectively downgrading them to open teams. This meant they would no longer have guaranteed entry into races, would receive a smaller slice of the prize money, and would be excluded from other financial benefits available to charter teams. This move by NASCAR sparked outrage and led to the antitrust lawsuit filed in October 2024. The teams argue that NASCAR has become a monopoly, using anti-competitive practices to control the sport and squeeze teams financially. They claim the charter system unfairly distributes revenue and stifles competition, leaving smaller teams at a disadvantage. Michael Jordan didn't hold back in his criticism, stating, "I love the sport of racing and the passion of our fans, but the way NASCAR is run today is unfair to teams, drivers, sponsors, and fans. Today's action shows I'm willing to fight for a competitive market where everyone wins." The lawsuit also highlights NASCAR's tight grip on the sport. The organization owns the series, most of the tracks, and even requires teams to purchase parts from approved suppliers. Teams are also barred from participating in other stock car racing series without NASCAR's approval. This level of control, the plaintiffs argue, creates a closed market that violates antitrust laws. As Fox Sports analyst Bob Pockrass put it, they argue that NASCAR's practices restrict competition and leave teams with no real alternatives. The legal battle took a significant turn on December 18, 2024, when U.S. District Judge Kenneth Bell ruled in favor of the foray Racing and Front Row Motorsports. He granted a preliminary injunction, allowing the teams to retain their charter status for the 2025 season while the case unfolds. NASCAR appealed the decision, and the U.S. Court of Appeals is set to hear the case later. Judge Bell's ruling was a major win for the teams, as it acknowledged the potential harm they faced from losing their charters. He noted that uncertainty over the 2025 season was already disrupting driver contracts and sponsorships, and he emphasized the public's interest in seeing all teams compete at their best. NASCAR, however, has stood firm in its defense. In a September 18, 2024 letter to the foray Racing, NASCAR President Steve Phelps called the charter system fair and equitable, and rejected claims of monopoly power. He argued that the teams had ample opportunity to negotiate, and that the lawsuit was an attempt to secure better terms through litigation. In its October 16 filing, NASCAR dismissed the lawsuit as meritless, accusing the teams of trying to extort more favorable contract terms. As the legal drama continues, the stakes couldn't be higher. The outcome of this case could reshape NASCAR's structure, revenue distribution, and competitive landscape, impacting teams, drivers, sponsors, and fans alike. For now, the foray Racing and Front Row Motorsports are pushing forward, determined to fight for what they believe is a fairer future for the sport. The legal battle between the 3C Racing, Front Row Motorsports, and NASCAR has continued to unfold with dramatic twists and turns, shaping the future of the sport. Following Judge Kenneth Bell's December 18, 2024, ruling in favor of the teams, NASCAR appealed the decision, setting the stage for a high-stakes showdown in the U.S. Court of Appeals. The case has not only exposed deep divisions within the NASCAR community, but also raised critical questions about fairness, competition, and the balance of power in the sport. Judge Bell's ruling was a pivotal moment in the lawsuit. He emphasized that the uncertainty surrounding the 2025 season was already causing significant disruptions, driver contracts were being affected, and corporate sponsors were growing wary of the instability. Bell wrote, NASCAR fans and members of the public who may become fans have an interest in watching all the teams compete with their best drivers and most competitive teams. His decision to grant a preliminary injunction allowed the 3C Racing and Front Row Motorsports to retain their charter status for the 2025 season, ensuring they could continue to compete on equal footing while the legal battle played out. The ruling also required NASCAR to approve the plaintiff's purchase of a charter from another team, a move that would allow them to maintain their competitive edge in the 2025 season. This was a significant blow to NASCAR, which had initially revoked the team's charter extensions as punishment for not signing the new agreement. The organization had planned to reduce the number of charters from 36 to 32 for the 2025 season, reallocating funds to increase prize money for teams that had signed the deal. However, Judge Bell's decision forced NASCAR to reconsider its approach, at least temporarily. NASCAR has remained defiant throughout the legal proceedings. In its October 16, 2024 filing, the organization dismissed the lawsuit as meritless, accusing the 3C Racing and Front Row Motorsports of trying to extort more favorable contract terms through litigation. NASCAR President Steve Phelps reiterated this stance in a September 18th letter to the 3C Racing, stating, "We firmly believe that we have come up with a document that is fair and equitable to the industry." He rejected claims of monopoly power, arguing that the teams had ample opportunity to negotiate and that similar antitrust claims had been dismissed by courts in the past. Despite NASCAR's confidence, the lawsuit has sparked a broader conversation about the sport's governance and the distribution of revenue. Many smaller teams have long felt that the charter system disproportionately benefits larger, more established teams, leaving them struggling to stay competitive. The lawsuit has given these teams a voice, with 3C Racing and Front Row Motorsports leading the charge for change. Michael Jordan's involvement has added a layer of star power to the case, drawing attention from both sports fans and legal experts. The reaction from other team owners has been mixed. Richard Childress, owner of Richard Childress Racing, RCR, expressed frustration with the situation, stating, "I didn't have a choice. We had to sign. I have over 400 employees, OEM manufacturer contracts, and sponsors to take care of." For Childress, signing the charter agreement was a matter of survival, highlighting the pressure smaller teams face in a sport dominated by NASCAR's rules. On the other hand, Justin Marks, owner of Trackhouse Racing, took a more measured approach. "It's a wait-and-see game," he said. "It's going to take a long time to know what the future looks like. We just have to focus on our team." As the legal battle continues, both the 3C Racing and Front Row Motorsports are preparing for the 2025 season. As if nothing has changed, the 3C Racing plans to field 3 cars: Bubba Wallace in the No. 23 Toyota, Riley Herbst in the No. 35 Toyota, and Tyler Reddick in the No. 45 Toyota. Front Row Motorsports will run Noah Gregson in the No for Ford, Todd Gilliland in the No. 30 for Ford, and Zane Smith in the No. 38 Ford. Both teams are determined to remain competitive, regardless of the lawsuit's outcome. The case has also drawn attention from fans and analysts, many of whom see it as a turning point for NASCAR. The sport has long been criticized for its lack of transparency and perceived favoritism toward certain teams. The lawsuit has brought these issues to the forefront, forcing NASCAR to confront questions about its business practices and the fairness of its charter system. For many, the case represents a fight for the soul of the sport, a battle between tradition and progress, between the old guard and the new dot as the U.S. Court of Appeals prepares to hear the case. The stakes couldn't be higher. A ruling in favor of the 3C Racing and Front Row Motorsports could force NASCAR to overhaul its charter system, potentially leading to a more equitable distribution of revenue and greater opportunities for smaller teams. On the other hand, a ruling in favor of NASCAR could reinforce the organization's control over the sport, solidifying its position as the dominant force in stock car racing. Regardless of the outcome, the lawsuit has already left an indelible mark on NASCAR. It has sparked a much-needed conversation about fairness, competition, and the future of the sport. For Michael Jordan, Denny Hamlin, and the teams they represent, The fight is about more than just money. It's about ensuring that NASCAR remains a sport where everyone, from the biggest teams to the smallest, has a fair shot at success. As the legal battle unfolds, one thing is clear: the world of NASCAR will never be the same.